Hey, what's going on, triathlon fans? This is Ryan, set2pacetriathlon.com, and if you're watching this video, it is to get some insider information on Ironman 70.3 Des Moines. Now, I've raced that, and I've done several videos of my experience, but I thought you'd also be interested to hear in some of my athletes' perspective. We got Travis that has done a couple half Ironmans in the past. He's done one full Ironman, so I just wanted to get some time with him so he can share his thoughts on the race, just so you hear from multiple perspectives on how the race went and what you should maybe expect. I think 2021 was a little bit off the wall as far as the weather delay and the extremely warm temperatures by the end of the day on the run. I think that's very symptomatic of a very weird weather year. So I just wanted to get his perspective and share that with you guys. So stay tuned for his take on the bike, on the swim, on the run, and just kind of the event overall. If there's anything you should be watching out for, I'm going to break it up in several different videos so you guys can take it in as you want. We're doing a call with one of my athletes, Travis Berkeley. I call him local, but you're out in Lawrence, which is about a 45-minute drive, depending on which side of town in Kansas City you start, because you're all the way on the west side of Lawrence, right?
Yep.
So, but I see it, all the local races. Cross our fingers, we'll see you at China Mission Triathlon this Sunday, even though they just stopped raining in the forecast. We'll see how that plays out. So, but yeah, so you've been with me. I was going to look it up, but I mean, how many years now?
I think we're finishing up 4.
4 years. So I keep track by my fitness tracking spreadsheet. So I've got information on you for 4 years now, and we can see all your little charts and metrics and everything. So, so yeah, I've trained you up for Chattanooga. What year was that? 2017.
17, yeah.
17. You did Ironman Chattanooga, the full. That was your first full, and I think a pretty successful adventure there. And we were on track for 2020 that got totally derailed. You're going to do Ironman Tulsa, but unfortunately that didn't play out, and then the date for Ironman Tulsa in 21 didn't work out for you. So you did 70.3 Des Moines, which they did let you transfer from Tulsa, right?
Yeah.
So and the great reshuffle, as I call it, Ironman came up with different options for people. So I think they, I don't know if you want to call it graciously, because they definitely didn't give you a price differential, but
no, they did not.
The pandemic's a strange thing, and not many people are used to it. So, yeah, give us a little bit of background. Like I said, I kind of alluded to, you did Ironman Chattanooga, but just a little bit of background. How long you've been doing triathlons? And I've been coaching you for 4 years now.
Yeah. So let's see. I started doing triathlons in 2010 when I hit 40. That was when Ironman 70.3 was here in Lawrence, so the Ironman 70.3 Kansas. That was literally in my backyard, like 4 miles from my house. So that's kind of what got me into it. I've been thinking about it for a while. I missed the race in 2009, but I had another guy at work. We were kind of motivating each other to do it. So 2010, I did that one, and that was kind of my first foray. Not a fantastic race. I was fortunate enough to understand enough about the swim course that grabbing on and saying hi to all the kayakers was permitted. So I met every single one on the course that day. Finished in like 7 hours. I didn't understand the transitions either, so I didn't have half my gear for the run part. I finished it though. That was all that mattered. The next year I did just all Olympic distance, and getting better with my times, transitions. I actually bought a bike that year, just a roadie, a Specialized delay. I was borrowing a bike that first year. I think I even got a wetsuit that second year. I was serious now, and did about 4, maybe 5 races for the next couple years, and then I got the itch to do a full. And that second year in 2011, I also went back and did the 70.3 in Kansas again, and knocked an hour off my time. So I hit it in 6 hours and 5 minutes, something like that, 6:07. Felt much better about things. primarily did Olympic distance for the next several years. I'd throw in a 70.3 every now and then. 2017, I wanted to do the full distance. So talk to you about getting a coaching plan, because that was my biggest problem, was just making sure I had the right volume to hit the times I wanted to do. So I was ready for that race. That was about everything I wanted to get out of coaching. I crossed the finish line, beat the time I wanted, and I wasn't like crawling across the finish line. I was winded, but felt good when I crossed the line. So that's kind of why I keep coming back. I think the year after that, I just did some more Olympic distance stuff, and then 2019. What did I do in 2019? I think I finished up with Ad Astra 70.3 that year as well, just because I had some distance in, and 2020. But yeah, we were prepping to do Tulsa. February, March of that year, I was ramping up, looking good, and then everything fell off the rails.
You want to go in depth on the course, and you probably can't see it, but I pulled up in the background the swim course for Des Moines. So you alluded to it. I did the race too, so I was there suffering along with everybody else. So they announced the night before that it was nice, and being an Ironman certified coach, we had a call last week where they specifically talked about it. They've got us the Ironman app. If you go in there and say you're doing the race and you verify that it's you, you get information through the Ironman app notifications. I got text messages, I got emails, and a Facebook page. So I think you are probably in the same boat. You're getting ample communication, and I think they're trying to be better about that in this day and age. And the night before, they said that they weren't going to open transition until 7.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And they're going to close at 7:30. So there's 2,500 people or 2,000 people that they were going to try to wedge into transition, get us all ready and over to the swim start to start swimming, which would have been interesting, but everybody's looking at the forecast and we're like, there's no way this is going to happen. And I think 5 o'clock in the morning they sent out another, it's not going to be 7, it's 7:30, we'll give you more information. And what was it, I think we started at 9:50 and they opened transition at 8:45.
Yeah, something like that. And a few of us kind of got in a few minutes early. So I think that kind of helped. We were trickling in rather than just mass entrance there, but it was still a rush. But yeah, they communicated text messages through the app about as well as they could, I think.
Yeah, and it was interesting because typically, they'll usually just chuck the swim and try to keep as much of the bike and the run as possible. Well, they actually kept the entire swim and then shortened the bike and then kept the run. So that was, I don't know about you, but that was a little different. That like I said, most races I've experienced will kind of chop off the swim in order to get us out on the bike course. So did you like that plan better than maybe keeping the entire 56-mile bike ride and 13.1-mile run? And
maybe. I would have been curious to see the whole 56 miles. The 27 that we got was, a fairly level course, and I was going along at a pretty good clip. If I could have held that clip for the whole 56, I would have had a really good time. Like I said, my swim was just a couple minutes under where I wanted to be. Not bad. Selfishly, I might have had a better time if I'd have kept kept all the bike. But I'm with you. Every time they've shortened a race, they've always just axed the swim and then started doing time trial starts on the bike. So whatever.
Yeah, it was definitely. I think they're just trying to balance out, because a lot of people I guess feel kind of ripped off or something if they don't get to swim. It's like, oh, it's not a triathlon. It's a sometimes they'll even do a duathlon, they'll do a run and then bike, and then because locally Kansas City tried earlier this year, they turned it to a duathlon, so it's like a 1-mile run and then a 13-mile bike and then a 3-mile run or something like that. But so I don't know if they're trying to just weigh those options of like, hey, we want to at least give you a triathlon, so we'll give you the swim and cut the bike and send you out on a run. So, but yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting. So hopefully, we don't experience that this weekend in another triathlon. But I think that'll be 4 in a row. The weather is affected for me. I was in Tulsa when it rained the entire bike ride, and then this, and then Kansas City Tri. When it got rain, I just went ahead and went home. So uh, personally, I hope we have an entire race without
Yeah,
weather
I think
involved.
one of
But
the reasons Des Moines might have kept the swim is it's kind of a unique course that they have that walking bridge that's
mhm.
right over the portion of the swim, and so the swim was way more spectator friendly than the bike. You know, it was really nice. The bike, they had a fully closed course. That's one of the longest events I've been in where the course was fully closed. But that also meant that spectators had a really hard time finding people on the bike course, and so maybe they kept the swim because it is so much more accessible than your typical swim. I don't know.
Yeah, and you came with your wife, didn't you?
I did,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you did have a spectator. I came by myself, so it wasn't necessary. But that's a good point. So and like I said, I've got on the background of the computer here. So there's a pedestrian bridge. Yeah, we swam across. You can sight over there and you look at it for a good length of time, and that bridge was just packed with people.
Yeah.
So it was a good, I think, spectator spot, and they had a few parks. But what did you? So this was the big thing with Des Moines. A lot of people had, I guess, there was no love lost for the distance between transition and a swim start and swim exit. So how was that for you?
Yeah, that took some getting used to. That was a really long run. I mean, that's probably pushing a half mile, definitely longer than a quarter mile. That you've got to run to get out of transition or out of the water, and then, at least it was a nice paved bike path, and then going around there, and it was mostly shaded, although it was still pretty cool in the morning. But that was a long way to go. Definitely the longest T1 I've ever had.
Yeah, I will say it was. It was a paved kind of. There's a trail around the lake that we did end up running on too, but it
Yeah.
was a paved trail, and then it goes underneath a pedestrian, or it goes underneath the Lafleur, I think was what the road, and then back into the transition area. So it was all paved, but there was, when I ran through, there was a gal, I don't know what she was doing, but she was standing by like this metal grate and telling people to be careful, it was slippery. So I don't know if somebody wiped out on that, but I think that might have been the only catch with that. But yeah, I mean, and we, like you said, you alluded to 70.3 Kansas. I've done that too, and that's a two transition race. So it was, I always find it kind of a pain that you set up one transition area, you had to walk all the way down, but it felt like, at least with the difference of those, you bike out of one and then bike to the other. This one, when we got out of the swim in Kansas, you're right there at transition, you got your bike and headed out. It almost been akin to running us up to the other transition, maybe in Kansas. Maybe they would have saved the double transition, just had us run up that hill to get to our bikes and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
That'd have been a super
Get
long
your heart rate
transition.
going early.
So yeah, I mean, and personally, I didn't think it was a huge deal, but yeah, it's a little bit different. I think to have that long of a transition, but I think ultimately, I think they handled it well. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I think it's about as well as they could have done. I mean, even if they tried to make a transition closer to the water, there's no good way to get out on the bike course from there, because you have to be on the other side of that major road right there. So, yeah, it's just luckily it's mostly flat getting there, and it's easy to walk through. It's just, other than the length, I thought they laid it out about as good as they could. I can't really think of another way to shorten that, that wouldn't have had some kind of negative, transitioning from bike to run. And so it is what it is. I mean, I think it was about as good as it could be.
Yeah, and it was nice. It was spectator friendly. I mean, it was
Very.
wall to wall people cheering you on as you're running through. But after a while, you're just kind of like you keep running and running. And you're like, yeah, I just want to get to my bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was, yeah, and going back to, it was delayed, so we didn't start until like what 9:50. It's like when I
Yeah.
think they started sending people in the water. I wasn't in the front of the group, but so it was still, if I remember right, I mean it was still cloudy and there's still a possibility. I think it was still kind of sprinkling a little bit, but I think
Yeah.
once I got out of the water, that sun just started popping out and everything was like drying off. So I don't
Yeah.
know who the race director talked to get that weather to cooperate, but because when I was looking on radar, it looked like more was going to come in at like 11 or 10:30 or something. and I thought for sure we were going to get caught on our bikes out in the rain. But
Yeah.
like I said, I've done my little race review for myself and posted it, and the race director, I don't know if he had friends that are meteorologists and had the inside track on stuff, but the timing to get us in the water, out on the bike course, right as the roads were drying, I think was pretty stellar. But yeah, as far as the swim course, I mean, yeah, I think that's the major thing people were talking about is just it's a hike when you're in transition. It's a hike to come over to the swim start. So I don't know about you, but being an Ironman certified coach, I got comped a VIP parking pass, so it was convenient to be able to park there and walk over a hill. But if people did not have that option, it was like 15, 20-minute walk to get to transition.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
the one thing I think. I think you're an early bird too, is getting there early.
Definitely.
To allow time to walk from your car to transition, to get set up, and then walk over to the swim start. Because it's a little bit different, and Tulsa did this too. Because the swim start, we had to walk about a mile from transition to the swim start, and it's a little bit different. So they start calling out swim times, and you had to like drop your stuff and start walking. So that was a little bit different too. Like I don't know if have you ever done a race where you actually had to kind of walk for a little bit to the swim start?
Yeah, not like that. With that distance from the water to the racks, that definitely added a different flavor to things, and I think that's what made kind of the start a little more chaotic than usual. One, there was a long way to walk to get over there, and people weren't sure where they were going. Plus, the way they took us from transition to the swim start was a totally different path than where you came back out of the water to get to transition. So you're just kind of, following the people with the signs, hoping you're going the right way. And then with the fact that the setup was so abbreviated because of the weather, you're just throwing your stuff down, trying to run through your checklist in your brain to make sure you get everything. And then they start calling through, times, and it's pretty much self-seated. And some people were heading over that, especially newbies that weren't really sure what they were saying. So they were just going. And then I don't think the self-seating on times worked as well as they'd hoped, because you'd get some people that were really fast going at the end, some people that were slower going at the beginning. And I think they were trying to space that out with that time trial-ish start, four to go. But so normally if you do a mass start, it's kind of tight and brutal at the beginning, but then you just normally space out. Well, because you had slow people and fast people all mixed up, it was packed pretty much the whole way. I mean, there were elbows flying, and I got hit in the face and cut on my foot. It was it was nasty out there.
Yeah, I think that was and I was going to allude to that too. Is yeah, I mean, pretty much, and people are posting pictures. It's like 5, 6 people wide out there with a little bit of space between them, but it was packed the entire swim course. Like I'd find a couple sections of open water, but all of a sudden somebody's swimming over you, or you swim over somebody, or somebody cuts across in front of you. Yeah, I mean, I got lucky. I didn't get cut up or anything, but I did get elbowed in the back of the head a few times, and and I will, they did. Ironman Tulsa was the same way, and I'm trying to think. There were sections, but in a full Ironman course, you just kind of got stretched out a little bit more. But yeah, be prepared for the being thrown in the washing machine. It's like that Cliff Bar commercial, where they got the guy and it's, people are paddling, they just hit him on the head with paddles or whatever while he's swimming to get him ready for the swim start. Yeah, there's less brutality at the start, but yeah, some people are, I don't know, full contact swimming out there, and they're just elbows and hands flying everywhere.
Yep.
But so yeah, that's one thing I told people. It's like, just make sure you're get comfortable with being with people in the water. I think that's the way, like all Ironman races with 70.3 and the fulls. Basically, all I've done for a while now, they've all been the self-seated rolling start. I don't think I've done a mass start for a full since Ironman Texas 2014. So all the other ones have been pretty much kind of a self-seated go into the arch and start swimming when you're ready. So,
Yeah.
thanks for watching, endurance sports fans, triathlon fans, wherever you're coming from. Watching video here, 70.3 Des Moines, talking to my athlete Travis. Just wanted to end this little video, broke it up into 3 different parts. So this was the swim and an introduction to Travis. Be on the lookout for the bike, and then the run, and then his final thoughts on the event, whatever. Like I said, just want to give you a flavor. I put my take on it out there, but I wanted you to hear from other individuals that did the race and other aspects and other backgrounds of racing and everything, just so you don't have to take my word for it. So you can get other information out there to collect, see if you want to do the race, or if you've done it and you want to do better, see if there's opportunities where you could do better, or see where other people have had struggles. So hopefully you found this informational. Give it a thumbs up, give it a like on Facebook if you see it there, give it a like on YouTube. Put a comment on there if you see anything that you thought was great or it could use improvement. Whatever you got out there, happy to hear your feedback, and always we'll see you on race day.